welcome to Anime Kiwi special number 3? 3, I think. Today we'll be talking about the second Gurren Lagann movie, and I forget what the English title was. Do you remember?
The lights in the sky are stars.
Right, the lights in the sky are stars. I'm Mike, and with me I have...
I'm another person. I have stupid opinions about everything, constantly, all the time.
And I'm Random Battle, and I don't care about anything.
I care about some things. I care about a lot of things, actually.
Well, maybe you do it in a way that's really laissez-faire, and it's kind of appealing to me for some reason.
Okay, that's true. That's true. I care about things in my own way. I wouldn't have 3 dogs if I didn't care about anything.
That's a lot of dogs. And
I think it's a good number of dogs.
It is a good number of dogs, but you have big dogs, so it's a lot of dog.
They're not big dogs. They're like 40 pounds.
Oh, really? I thought they were bigger. Oh.
Nah, they're runts. They're runty huskies.
Oh, okay. Because my cousin has I can't remember if it's a husky or a Malamute, but she was a puppy last time I saw her, and she was already probably 60 pounds.
Well, that's probably Malamute then. Huskies get to be around 60 pounds, tops. 70 if they're fat, but mine are small.
Should we mention who we actually are rather than talking about dogs?
Oh, whatever. Nobody cares.
They listen to There's no way they're listening to the thing on the second episode if they didn't listen to one on the first.
Yeah, who's gonna be opening this going, they're talking about the second part of this movie. I better start here.
Hey man, there's a procedure. Well, anyway, my name's another person, and I'm annoying and stupid.
Okay, now the proper introductions are out of the way, let's talk about this movie.
It's great.
It was pretty good.
I thought it could be better.
It was a lot better than the first, I thought.
Yes. Got around a lot of the pacing problems of the first movie.
Yeah. This one didn't feel like a chore to watch for me at any point.
I almost don't want to mention what I thought of it.
I mean, you can mention all you want. I'm going to tell you you're wrong and it's not true. But you can say whatever you want.
Yeah.
I'm not going to stop you.
That's the norm around here. Except this time it's actually...
You're free.
It's actually going to be correct.
You're free to think whatever you want.
Well, let's say somebody actually has listened to all 3 of the podcasts that I happen to be on, and they might have an impression of me as like a big Debbie Downer and like a pretentious asshole.
I mean, it'd be pretty accurate.
That'd be pretty accurate.
See, the thing is it's not accurate at all. It's just that I have a particular distaste for the sort of cliches.
The downer part is an accuracy.
I'm not a downer.
You described yourself as pretentious. That's not inaccurate at all.
The pretentious part's fine. People can call me that if they want. But, I mean, I'm not a downer. At least I don't think I is. I think I'm just kind of maybe a bit flat.
Cat Doder, in the first Myst video, you said this is a bad game. Like, 10 minutes in.
Hey, I was just exaggerating, but that game's actually great. But, I mean, being completely honest, I hated the second movie just as much as I hated the first, but I kind of want to come at this one from a different angle, because I realize that there are a lot of people that really enjoy this series and maybe the movies. And
definitely the series. I don't know about the movies.
I mean, you have to see the series to see the movies the way that they want you to look at them.
Yeah,
that automatically makes me think that this movie might actually be bad then, if you have to qualify it with that, you know?
But why does that make it bad?
Well, because movies have to stand on their own.
But it's not. It's not meant to do that.
But it should.
But why?
Well, exactly. Like, why should it even exist if it has to rely on some sort of external thing to make sense and to be properly appreciated?
I mean, they wanted to make it, so that's why it exists. I don't know why you have to have...
Plus, I thought this one made enough sense on its own.
It's fine. It's not bad. It loses a lot of the touches from being a full series.
It's weird how they just kind of skipped the middle third of the series. Entirely between these 2 movies.
There's a lot of weird things that they just sort of gloss over, but, like, it's fine, because you're supposed to know that information. Like, I struggle to find something to compare. I guess it's like watching Return of the King and not watching any other Lord of the Rings movies. Going into that one and going, I don't know who any of these characters are. I don't know why I should care. What's going on? I don't know.
But see, it's not like that at all, though.
But it is.
Well,
you're supposed to go into this with knowledge of the TV show, and
the Return of the King is a third movie in a series, whereas this
is a second movie in a series.
It's a second movie in a series, and I've seen the first, but I still feel like I'm missing so much context.
But it's because it's not meant for you.
But they should have had a more elegant way to edit these movies instead of have all these details missing that just make me confused and kind of
why
irritated.
Should they do that?
Because that's how you make movies.
But that's not true. That's not how you make movies. You can make movies however you want. Just because it doesn't fit into your definition of a normal movie doesn't automatically make it bad. I don't particularly like, chick flicks. That doesn't mean that all chick flicks are terrible movies. Well, just because I am not the target audience.
Well, and then you have something like Serenity, which is you're missing a lot if you haven't seen the series, and people still say it's
exactly
good.
Something like Serenity.
I don't think it's that great.
It's
that movie actually stands well on its own, without the TV series.
But you're still missing a lot if you haven't seen the subpar TV series.
I don't think it's subpar, but it definitely stands on its own.
It's a lot better than the movie.
I don't think either of them are that good, but that's neither here nor there.
It just seems like you're going into this expecting something that it's not even trying to be.
Well, the only thing that I'm expecting is a story that I'll enjoy and that makes sense and has a coherence to it, and I didn't think this movie had that.
The second half was super coherent.
Are you joking?
No.
What was incoherent about the movie?
Like the whole second half of it?
What was incoherent about the second half of the movie?
Well, see, this is why I said I wanted to come at it kind of from a different angle, because maybe I don't have enough of the cultural context to kind of get a sense for what is kind of normal in this style of anime, and I just found myself not really being very accepting of some of the narrative tools they were using. For example, in the second half, you see a lot of things particularly like robots materializing out of nowhere. That sort of thing.
Well, they said exactly why that was happening.
They did?
Yes.
Yeah. There's two scenes in the movie entirely about that.
Yeah.
And then being all surprised at that and going, wow, that's weird.
Yeah, they basically said whatever you can imagine here becomes real. All the rules are gone here.
But that's what I mean. Like that entire second part of the movie it felt like somebody going, and then this happens, and then this happens, and then this happens, and it didn't really have like a logical flow to it. It just sort of seemed almost random, and I just, as I mentioned in the first half, I found myself being kind of detached, particularly in the action scenes and stuff like that, and I felt that even more in the second part, particularly when they're doing stuff like throwing galaxies around. I'm just like,
what?
You are an insane
person.
I don't even understand how you can say these words.
The words I was detached when they were throwing galaxies at each other literally make 0 sense.
And even then, it's like the complete opposite of the arguments you had before, in that none of the fights matter. Like, every single thing was a character development. Like, they weren't just fights to blow stuff up. Like, every scene in the fights in the movie were directly for...
Yeah, side characters actually were developed in this one.
Yeah.
To a degree.
To a certain degree, yeah. I mean, that is fair, but I simply mean in more of a rules-based sense, and I kind of harp on this a lot, but yeah, I mean, this is why...
But I think you're completely ignoring... You're ignoring the entire point that they went into multiple times to address in the movie that, oh my god, nothing is making sense. We're just throwing everything out the window and doing what we want to save the day. Like, that's the entire point.
Yeah.
Is that it was defying all of the rules that they have established throughout, the series and the first movie and everything.
But I never actually got a sense for those rules, and so when they're subverting them and breaking them...
Which is a big failing of the first movie.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, that can be a clever kind of narrative tool to subvert expectations and everything like that, and that would be cool, but I didn't have the context for that, so I didn't understand what rules they were breaking, because they were never set up. And so, I mean, like, I understand the point that when they're doing the ridiculous stuff with the throwing the galaxies around and stuff like that, that's normally I like that sort of stuff quite a bit, actually. I like when stuff gets completely ridiculous, but for some reason, it just didn't work for me at all, and I don't even really have a logical criticism for it. That's why I was mentioning I wanted to come at this from kind of a different angle. Less, me running down my criticisms of the movie, and more you guys, telling me what you liked about it, me reacting to that, I guess.
I can completely understand why you think that. I don't think it's fair to then say the movie itself and this, like everything around it is bad because of that. I think it's just because you're going at it with absolutely no experience or real understanding, because the first movie just faffed about and didn't go into too much detail about the things that would come up to be more important later. So while you're watching the movie, you're trying to figure out everything that's going on behind, around the characters and everything else that you're already supposed to know and understand at that point. So while me and Mike here are watching it and going, okay, well, I know this is the part where they combine with the moon. That makes sense. You're like, wait, the moon can be a robot? And then you're trying to figure out this. And then the movie, since it's trying to go at such a quick pace, just glosses over that. And it's already going on the next thing. Well, you haven't even had time to really wrap your head around the last scene you watched. And I think that's more the problem with the movies and the pacing of the movies, rather than them actually being bad.
And like you said...
But isn't that kind of a criticism of the movies themselves? Like, this is why I kept, repeating in the first part how people interested in this should just go to the series instead of the movies, because the movies don't really serve a purpose, apart from being, vehicles to consume the series again without necessarily spending the time to have to watch the entire series all over again.
I think the movies have a little bit more going on in them than just being condensed versions of the series.
A little bit.
There's
especially in this one.
Especially in this one, there's new ideas, new
robot,
more accurate.
Yeah.
I guess I wouldn't say themes, but more accurate story concepts that all tie together a lot better.
Yeah, it's a little bit more refined in a couple places.
Yeah, so it's not quite just I want to watch this because I want to watch the series again. It's like I want to watch this as in this is the absolute purest form of the series. So I already know all the background stuff. I already know how everything happened already. I don't need that explained. I just need the most important pieces. And that's what the movie is
150
for.
proof Gurren Lagann.
Yeah.
I mean, to your point about me trying to figure out everything that's going on and trying to understand the motivations behind characters and trying to understand rules behind things and stuff like that, I was doing that pretty much constantly, and it was just kind of frustrating me, and eventually that's why I said I became detached, just because I stopped trying to figure things out, and eventually it didn't really mean anything anymore.
I can see how you'd get there, but I don't... Personally, I wouldn't hold that to the movie, because it's 100% expecting you to go in knowing this other information. It's
even
not,
from stuff outside of the series.
Yeah, it's not trying. It's not even trying to explain some of the informations that it wants you to know. It just goes, you know this already. I'm not going to bother.
Yeah.
So I can see how that would be really frustrating and make you tune out if you don't have that information from the series or just from watching other giant robots and stuff that.
So what this says to me is that you and me, Random Battle, need to give Cat Doder a primer masterclass on super robots.
Well, that's just called Gurren Lagann, the series.
Yeah, that'll be in there somewhere.
See, the thing
That's
is
the final.
I'm not sure I really like that sort of stuff, and I don't really want to keep subjecting it to myself.
Oh, we'll take a break.
Kind of
before.
attempt to.
We'll take a break. We'll have supplementary bonus classes.
I don't think that's true. I think you would actually really like that kind of show. Because all the problems I keep hearing from you, it's not that you don't like it. Like, the central themes and ways that giant robots and stuff go about doing things, I keep hearing are all things you like. But you have other complaints, usually in these movie formats, that it doesn't match the storytelling kind of like framework that you need to understand and enjoy the movies or series or just story in general. So I would hesitate to say that you don't like giant robots. I think it's more just you don't like the movies that we're picking because they require too much prior knowledge, and you shouldn't go into these movies like. Even like Summer Wars and stuff, you should not go into that. If that is the first thing you've ever seen about anime or whatever, you should not watch that movie because you won't like it.
Yeah, even Gurren Lagann the series, I might not recommend that as somebody's first Super Robot series.
You absolutely would not want to watch something like Gurren Lagann
because Gurren Lagann's deconstruction of Super Robot stuff. So without a basis for it, it's kind of harder to parse and appreciate.
Like you're supposed to be, and you're expected to go into most of these stories with prior knowledge gained either through like cultural or just awareness of the tropes and things that it's using and playing around with inside of the show.
And that's definitely fair, because I mean, like even stuff as basic as like the jump cut, for example, which is like one of the most basic cinematic tools that people have to tell stories, you need a certain amount of cultural understanding to even understand what a jump cut is. So the idea that I would need more cultural understanding to accept certain, structures and things like that within anime is totally fair, and I understand that. But I should elaborate that nothing that I say about this movie should be considered a criticism of the series itself. Like, I'm simply criticizing the fact that these movies do rely on the series, and I think that's a negative. I think that these movies should stand on their own, and they should have taken the material and not necessarily edited it down and condensed it. They should have adapted it for the screen rather than just edit it down and make like an abridged version of the series. I think that kind of is a detriment to both things, and it kind of makes it pointless.
It's kind of hard because I've seen a lot of movies that do that just take the source material and just make a movie format movie out of it, and a lot of times they're just really bad.
Yeah,
like a show like Gurren Lagann it's like everything about it is set up in a way that needs everything to happen the way it's happening in the series.
No way you can write it for one sitting.
It's as much a deconstruction of like giant robot anime stuff as it is about like a format TV show sort of setting. And even the movies kind of play with that as well in a little bit, that like it's using the information that you gather from watching these sort of like anime, I don't even know what they're called, just like, summary movies or whatever.
Compilation, yeah.
To tell the story that it's trying to tell. So if you took all of that out, you just end up with this really bland, generic... I don't think it'd be good at all.
Probably not.
Well, that's why I was saying you take the kind of basic concepts and you make a full-on re-adaptation of Gurren Lagann rather than just editing it down and condensing it, because as I said, I think it really does a disservice to the series to have these kind of movies in this form, and if they're only for people who have seen the series, as a kind of means to have that condensed, pure version of it, then I mean, just watch the series again. Just take the time to go through it again.
Now, if you want something like what you're talking about, Cat Doder, may I recommend the 3 Mobile Suit Gundam movies, which do exactly that and are way better than the series.
I have no real way to tell whether or not that's a good idea.
They're good
They're
movies.
good movies.
It's a better experience than watching the series, in my opinion.
They do exactly what you say in that they take the ideas of the series and rather than just adapting the shots from the series and episode structure of the series into a movie, they just take everything
And make
throw
3
it into a
movies out
pot
of it.
and say, let's just make some movies out of these.
Gets rid of the filler, they reanimate stuff, they rethink a little bit. They're very good movies. It is my preferred way to show people the original Gundam.
But I think more importantly, in a case like that, it's not just retelling the story, it's painting the same ideas of the story,
Yeah.
but not trying to cover the exact same ground of the story.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you look at adaptations for, let's say, novels or comic books or something like that, you'll usually get people coming out of the woodwork saying stuff like, oh, they cut this from the books or they cut this from the comics. And anybody who understands, all of those mediums knows that they're different and they need different things to function correctly and things like that. And they really should kind of approach adapting anime series to cinema in a similar way as you would adapting a book or a comic book or something like that.
But the problem is there's so many different ways to do that. Like, you can tell the origin story or whatever, comic book movie style, and that can be really good or really bad. Like, sticking to the source material or deviating from the source material doesn't automatically guarantee anything one way or another. It's all about the ideas and everything you're trying to, convey through that story.
Yeah.
Like, Iron Man is a great story, even though it deviates a whole bunch from the origin
Oh, yeah.
in the comic.
Although Iron Man's
But,
had
like-
a few origins, but
like
Still,
Man
yeah.
of Steel, or goes completely left field of the comic books, and it's terrible, but for a completely different reason, not because
Could
it's just
change
not
the thing.
like the original Superman. 'Cause
Well,
it's,
I would say
not-
that,
it's 9/11.
A lot of the big reason, like there are a lot of the ways that Iron Man in particular deviates from the comics is it's done that way because the people who were working on that movie understood cinematic form and everything, and they understood how to get a good movie out of these certain details and things like that. And I don't get a sense in Gurren Lagann in the movies that there's not a real good cinematic instinct going on here. There's a lot of the stuff that they cut and a lot of the stuff that they keep. It doesn't serve the movie very well. Like a really good example would be in the first half with the side characters that they skip over, and a really large chunk of what I guess, as far as I can tell, is the kind of dramatic arc of that first half is people coming together and forming that team to fight off the big bad guys or whatever. But because I don't
That'd be
understand
correct.
any of those side characters, it doesn't mean anything to me. And you could say that, yeah, I need to see the series to understand that part fully, but to me it just says these people don't understand how to form a compelling dramatic arc in more of a cinematic structure than a TV structure.
But I think that comes back to that they're not trying to do that because I imagine they definitely could have done that in the movie, but they didn't want to because they're like, okay, this is 2 hours, a little less than that of movie time. The audience we want to tell this story to is not going to be better served by us retelling these developments when they already know what's going to happen in the next movie, which is coming out like 6 months from now. Like, we don't need to go into that detail. That's just going to waste screen time that's better used for things that people will actually want to see.
Yeah.
I just
And I
personally think that that they could have served the audience for the series better if they'd done something different with it. Show them something they definitely wouldn't have been able to see at all, rather than just bits and pieces.
Well, they do that in some of the parts. Some of the scenes are completely different and change things up a lot.
Yeah, the final battle has some extra stuff in it.
And like the opening has a lot of different stuff as well. It's like they are serving the audience. It's just that you're not the audience they're going for. You're approaching it from a different perspective than the people they created the movie for. And that's, I think, where a lot of the problems come from.
Yeah.
Yeah, as I said in the first half of this podcast and for the movie itself, like, I'm not coming at this from an objective standpoint because I think that's nonsense. I'm just coming at it from more of a perspective of how I know how to criticize film and what I know. You know, I know what I like in certain ways. Sometimes I don't know what I'm going to like until I watch it, of course, but there are certain things I don't like within anime, like particularly, and I kind of harp on this a lot, but the whole dramatic screaming thing that people do for minutes at a time, and, you know, I find that really grating, and I don't know if you guys find that, whether or not you're just used to it.
I'm one where I think we're used to it, but I think I might have realized why that's a thing and thinking about it because you said it last time. In martial arts, a lot of the time you have to yell when you do a strike. And that's like all throughout martial arts. And I think that is just a manifestation of that concept in anime form.
Well, in martial arts, when you do those yells, I think there is even a word for it. It's like
kiai
or something. But yeah, when you do a kiai, it's a very short and it's a very sharp yell. It's not a
that is
like
not
screaming
necessarily
dramatically.
true.
That's how it was taught to me, at least.
When I did kendo, those are long fucking yells you're doing.
But are they screaming for minutes at a time? You know?
I've seen half a minute.
Did he break his leg or something?
Things can definitely go too far in that. Like some stuff in Dragon Ball Z and stuff definitely goes too far in that. Like people literally screaming for entire episodes where nothing happens. Like,
yeah, I just find that exhausting.
In a good show like Gurren Lagann, for instance, that happens
for a reason.
A lot. But it's for a reason. Like, it's to elevate whatever situation to some sort of more final conclusion.
You mean heighten the drama, basically?
Kind of. Not really heightened, sort of, but not exactly. Because the difference between, like, Gurren Lagann and a show that does that really poorly is that people don't yell outside of those situations in Gurren Lagann.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of bad shows will just do that because if we're loud enough, you'll pay more attention to what's going on. That doesn't always work.
It's the Dane Cook school of anime.
Yeah, basically the louder somebody is shouting, "We need to be friends" or whatever, the more you're supposed to go, "Yeah, that's right. You should be." But that doesn't always work. That's why something like going completely off topic or whatever here, but Fist of the North Star was very progressive in that regard, in that when that came out, stuff was very much like, you know, Dragon Ball and stuff. Everybody yelling all the time. Manly men got to be super manly. You know,
was
like
Fist of the North
cries.
Star after Dragon Ball?
What?
Was Fist of the North Star after Dragon Ball? I thought it was earlier.
I'm talking about like the anime and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Like because I mean, the manga or whatever, you know, is just written.
Yeah, you kind of hear people screaming through a page.
Yeah, I mean you kind of can, but it's still true there. Like, what made everyone look at Fist of the North Star was that it portrayed its characters as not just being manly men, but they were also like quiet and sensitive in a time when that was so unexpected of everyone. Like, it was a big deal that Kenshiro like cried in the manga about bad things that were happening to people because he actually cared. And like it really got to some people because it's like, whoa, it's like, you can't do that. Your manly main character is not supposed to cry. That's pathetic. You can't do that. But it showed that you don't always have to be loud and in your face about something. And sometimes being quiet is more important than being loud.
I guess I kind of liken it to music in a way where, you know, interesting music usually has quite a lot of variance in dynamics and stuff like that. So you know, if you listen to a song that it's just guitar soloing as fast as somebody can for 10 minutes straight, it just gets exhausting after a while, and that's what I'd kind of liken it to. It's just somebody cranking the dynamics up to 10 and just not stopping.
But in Gurren Lagann's case, like at the end, that is entirely intentional. It's supposed to be cranking it up to 11 and then cranking it past to 20.
It's pulling the knob off.
Like, yeah, it's...
Or, I guess, pushing the knob through the console.
And I think that's where having some experience with the series is more important, because that doesn't happen all that much. Like, your big final yell of the fight is, 2 seconds at the end of the fight. Like, that's it. Whereas it's like, by the end of the movie, people are yelling for like 10 minutes straight, but that's because, oh shit, everything is so far off the chain. Shit is hardcore. We're throwing galaxies at each other.
You made a robot that's barely even a robot anymore.
Yeah.
And that'd be after, 13 hours of build-up as well?
Something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, a good example of what I mean when I don't actually hate this sort of stuff all the time, like Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance, for example, in the first 10 minutes or something, when Raiden throws the Metal Gear Ray in the air and just starts cutting it to pieces and stuff, is probably my favorite moment from that game, because not only is it completely badass, but it also kind of subverts your expectations of what a Metal Gear game is. Like, you don't typically see that sort of thing in Metal Gear, so they subvert it, and it has much more of an impact.
Yeah, it's just entirely where the ending of Gurren Lagann takes you, in that you don't expect a show where the first moment of the character build-up is them digging in a hole and wondering if they're going to see the surface or not. Like, you don't expect, oh yeah, by the end of this, they'll be throwing galaxies at each other. Like, it's so far from what anybody was expecting.
Yeah.
But in the movie, they're digging in holes, and then 5 minutes later, there's a big robot smashing through the roof.
Yeah, that was like 2 episodes in 3 minutes.
I mean, I don't think that you're being harsh on the series or anything. I think you're maybe expecting the movie to come at it from a direction that it never intended to be looked at from.
Yeah.
But I don't think you're wrong in looking at it in that way. You just have to accept that, okay, maybe the way I would do it and the way that it probably should have been done is not what they were going for. But I just hesitate to call it a criticism of the movie, just because it's just not what they were trying to do at all.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it is important to acknowledge the intent behind art. Like, instead of just saying it should be like this, the intent is always the important part.
I mean, I think every movie would be better served with, it ending with the main character and the bad guy just getting into a bloody fist fight where they're both exhausted, but that's obviously not going to happen in The Waterboy. Like,
it might have improved that movie.
It would have improved that movie, but I can understand why they would not end that movie that way.
Yeah.
Well, what would improve that movie is destroying it completely off the face of the planet, but I get what you mean.
The Waterboy's alright, it's okay.
It's one of his less offensive movies.
Not by much, though.
Not by enough.
It's not great. I wouldn't recommend it, but it's not bad.
It's hilarious when you're 13 years old.
It's not abject garbage, it's just the regular garbage.
That I would agree with.
It's the recycling bin instead of the garbage can in the kitchen.
Yeah,
it's not great, but hey, it's not full of rotting chicken.
Well, instead of being this being the negative Nancy hour, I do want to mention some parts that I did like in the movie. And
okay, go for it.
Even though there wasn't much of it, but
how about the parts where they threw galaxies at each other? That was pretty sweet.
Yeah, I'm kind of disappointed in myself that I didn't like that part. But
he fired a big bang at them to kill them, and then he stopped it by dissolving himself and becoming a giant drill. That's pretty sweet.
Hey man, the physics there are completely wrong.
Physics are out the window there.
Actually, the physics entirely lined up with what was represented.
The power of the Big Bang would completely vaporize anything in the entire area, and you know it.
No, because they have spiral power.
Actually, that brings up a good point. What the hell even is spiral power? Because I kept trying to get a sense for...
The power of the human spirit.
It's spiral power is...
It's got to be more than that, right?
It's thematic concept that is present throughout the show. It is the very essence of take one step forward every single time something happens, good or bad. Just improve yourself from it. That's where all the themes of the movie all come together. It's the whole drill concept, just turn the drill one more time, go down 1 inch further, take one step forward, learn one thing. Like that's what it is. And okay, you ever played Cookie Clicker?
I have ashamedly played that too much.
Spiral Power is a clicker game in that it starts out real small, and the more you click, it doesn't matter how much you click, you just got to keep clicking. But you'll get there eventually. You just got to keep clicking.
And then
one day those numbers are going to be so big, you're going to be throwing galaxies at each other, and that's what Spiral Power is.
But before that, you're going to turn to an anti-spiral for a second and then reset the whole thing. But then things will just get even bigger, even faster.
Right. Gurren Lagann is a clicker game in movie format.
Yeah, I get that sense, but like some of the themes that they were exploring and with the anti-spirals trying to control the spread of spiral power and stuff, I was getting like hints of like nuclear proliferation and stuff like that, and I'm like, what the hell is this spiral power supposed to be? It's about nuclear proliferation, but it's about the human spirit and stuff, and I'm like, what is going on?
But no, it's the same thing. Like it's evolution basically, in that you can be better than you are right now. And logically, if you take that all the way to the end of whatever you're thinking, unlimited power to become more powerful is an incredibly dangerous thing, if you think about it.
Okay, yeah, that kind of makes it kind of coalesce for me, I guess.
And they kind of didn't really go over it in the movie, but in the show, during the last fight with the anti-spiral, he's explaining why he's doing what he is, because the anti-spirals were basically like Simone and all of them. They were doing the whole Gurren Lagann thing, getting all super powerful, going indomitable human spirit, can beat anything. And then they realized, but if we keep doing this, eventually our robots are going to be so big we'll destroy the universe and kill everyone we love because we're just too powerful. Because you can't just keep becoming more powerful, even though you can. But you shouldn't, because that's dangerous. You'll kill everybody. So they basically said, nope, we're going to put our foot down. We're not going to change anymore. We're going to be the way we are forever. Even though that's not the best thing to do, it'll keep everybody safe.
I guess the Japanese are in kind of a unique position to know that really well.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of cultural like stuff like that about it. But the basic idea is that whole just, if you keep getting stronger and stronger, that's great for an anime show, but where's that leave you in the end? Can't be too powerful, because that's too dangerous.
I have a feeling you'd actually really like the series, Cat Doder. You'd get your rules that you want. All these themes and characters would be more fleshed out. Then you'll understand why the galaxies are being thrown, and you'll like the galaxies being thrown. Everything will come together. I do think you should watch another, maybe like more super robot series first to get a better sense of what is about super robots. But
I think I'll pick it up over time, but if I do end up going back to the series, it'd probably be a while from now. I don't think I can go back to it immediately.
Oh yeah, we'll take a break before we make you go through the series.
Gurren Lagann is the way Mass Effect 3 should have ended.
I would have played Mass Effect if it was like Gurren Lagann.
Mass Effect was great right until the part where they made a third game.
I hated the first one, so I didn't play the second one.
Should have been how it ended. Giant fist fight. Two bloody people just slugging it out. That's my favorite. That's my favorite in anything. Just two people just completely exhausted, just punching the shit out of each other. That's why I kind of actually didn't like the ending, the way it was presented in this, because
there's less of that.
Yeah.
Well, let's unpack that and try to figure out why you like it so much and what that says about you.
I like it so much because so many of these shows are about, like, you know, tossing galaxies at each other and trying to save the universe and everything like that, that at the end of it, when you just have your two your protagonist and antagonist reduced to such a point where they're just exhausted and just punching the shit out of each other, not trying to stop each other, not trying to save the universe, just because they don't like each other. I like that. It's like how Gundam ended. I love it. I like it.
Doesn't it kind of technically finish sort of like that?
In the TV show, it doesn't end with the whole drill hand and everything like that. He literally just punches him in the face.
Yeah.
Until he stops. You're welcome to unpack it more if you want, but I just like watching people punch each other. It's a good conclusion to something. Stripping away all the superpowers, all of the plot developments, just fucking punch each other in the face.
And eventually they're too exhausted to keep fighting and then they have to talk.
It's always that last punch that's so good. It's so weak because it's just so tired. I love it.
And they're lying on the ground with their arms outstretched and they're looking up at the sky.
Yeah.
And then they cuddle for a while.
Yeah. Naruto style.
Naruto, they were missing their arms at the end, weren't they?
They weren't really missing their arms. It was just all bloody.
Really? I could have sworn that they, punch each other's arm off or something.
They got better. They had arms in the movie, so I assume they got better.
Well, I don't know, what's his name? The guy who became the bad guy, Kakashi friend, he lost an arm and he got, a fake ninja fake arm.
Yeah, but that's because Madara had whatever goober bodies from the tree made of that guy's cell. That's why everyone had Renegons.
I don't know, maybe they did that to
But
Naruto and Sasuke, who knows?
I don't think so.
Somebody comment, what happened at the end there? Because I don't know. I kind of skimmed past the raw of that chapter. So.
I remember in the game, they definitely had arms. But that might just mean they didn't want to take their arms off because that'd be too violent.
Yeah.
But then, I don't know, because he had him in the movie. But even though in the movie his arms all bandaged up.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Maybe they'll say, who knows?
I don't know.
Have yet to watch it.
I don't know a single thing about Naruto. Except for somebody
so,
yelling like you gotta believe or something.
So there's...
That's Parappa.
10,000 years ago, there's a magic alien from space.
No, we'll be here all day. You gotta stop.
And we'll play simple and clean along the way.
What? It's turned into Kingdom Hearts now?
That's a joke from that image that goes on for 20 pages about summarizing all of Kingdom Hearts. It's a joke.
Oh.
Making jokes here, everybody. Spoiler alert,
Well,
warning.
Don't know anything about Kingdom Hearts either.
Okay, so about 100 years ago, I can go on if you want.
No, don't.
It's very confusing. You think if you thought everything I was saying about Naruto was confusing? Oh my god!
No, Naruto makes some sort of sense.
God, Kingdom Hearts is a fucking just mess. What the fuck? Character will be in 8 different places because it's his heart is separated from the darkness in him, but the light is also separate too.
The Naruto story was good for a while. The Kingdom Hearts story has never been good.
I like when they go to Tron, and there's Tron because it's Tron.
I did too, but then I was disappointed because there's significantly less Tron than any other thing in that game.
Yeah.
I played the first game up until, I think the Tarzan level, and then I'm like, this is fucking shit, and then I stopped.
First game was good.
I really like the idea of Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah. There's something there.
I don't like the execution.
Yeah.
I kind of find crossover type stories to be inherently silly. I don't even think Robin should be in Batman.
But silly's fine. It was bad.
Yeah.
They did a bad thing.
But it wasn't even silly. It was incredibly serious.
But that can also be good too.
Yeah. They just did it bad.
Yeah.
It's a bad thing they did.
Because if you take it really serious, then it's really funny. And that's good too.
But anyways, Random Battle, I was going to ask you what we should make Cat Doter's first lesson in Super Robots be, but I think I know the answer. I'll ask you, but I think I know.
Well, I think normal robots is probably the better place to start. I think
You
like
think
Gundam
starting with
would
real
be good.
robots?
Yeah, I think like Gundam would be good.
Well, so do you say not Metal Gear, Mobile Suit Gundam
Metal Gear
movies?
movies. Metal Gear movies. We'll watch the Metal Gear movies.
It'd be better than the games.
Oh, I disagree.
Wait, there are Metal Gear movies?
Actually, yeah, the story of the Metal Gear games is garbage anyways.
I wish there were Metal Gear movies.
So you think the Mobile Suit Gundam movies?
I mean, they're good movies.
Okay, we can go to those. But that's not what the next episode is. We've prepared a list for Cat Doter to choose his own fate next time, since he has been you're making edits. I'm going to stop you from doing that.
Is this some sort of synced Google Doc or something?
Yep. One of them I'm still not sure about.
Well, is this the last one?
But yeah, anyway, to elaborate on what one of these chuckle fucks are talking about, I chose 3 genres / themes out
Yeah, it's like
randomly.
4. Yeah, it's 4.
It was only 3.
Nope, it's 4.
There's 4 on this list.
Existential,
Well, I only chose 3
kung
themes.
fu, relationship, drama.
I meant the last one as one thing, like relationship drama, you know.
I took it as 2.
Well,
Drama
either
isn't
way.
really like a genre. It's more like a, well, it is a genre, but it's a really expansive one.
Access denied. Ooh.
Yep, you can only view now. Anyways, Random Battle and I have made a list of 6 things. We've each picked 2 things we think Cat Doter will like. And then we also picked 1 personal choice that we don't give a shit if anybody but us picked it.
No, I didn't do that at all.
Yeah, you picked somebody that you think nobody's gonna like. So,
From the way you talked about it, I think that's the existentialist pick, right?
Mm-hmm.
so Cat Doter, we need you to pick a number between 1 and 6.
Pick
6.
number 4. No. Damn it! Well, you did this on yourself. No, you know what? It's better this way. When you say you like pretentious things, this is what you get.
Well, it looks like the movie we're watching is Angel's Egg.
What on earth is that?
It's a
Pretentious
It's a
movie.
real banger. It's on YouTube,
Yeah.
so everybody can watch along.
Should we tell Doter what the things he missed out on were, or leave it a mystery forever?
No, I want you to know what we could have watched instead.
It's highly unlikely that I will
what
understand what any of these movies are.
Oh, you'll understand Angel's Egg. Don't worry about it. It's a very simple movie. What we could have
No, I
watched,
mean,
and
like-
what I wanted to watch, everybody's personal favorite, Street Fighter 2, the animated movie. Classic.
I've seen that, actually.
It's classic. It's great, even. Many would say, in fact, it's great. We could have watched that. Would have been fantastic. Everybody would have had a good time. But Fist of the North Star, my second pick. Also, good movie. Lots of head explosions, drama, relationships, kung fu. All good. All good stuff. But Mikey said that he didn't want to watch the third thing I had picked instead, so I replaced it.
Wait, what? No, I did not say that.
You did say that.
I said that was a great choice because AP would be
Nope.
very mad we're watching it without him.
Nope.
If you want to switch
So I
it back,
changed it.
if you want to switch it back in, you
It's
can.
too late now. It's too late. No, there's no going back on this.
Okay.
No, there's no.
Let the record show that I was fine with that choice.
You were not fine with that choice. Don't lie.
What's the choice, goddammit?
Nope. We'll
You'll
never know. We'll never know.
Just
It's
know that
Digimon the movie. It's Digimon the movie. The American one. That's like 3 different movies all in one. Would have been
Well,
great.
thank fucking God they didn't pick that.
You wanted existential. That movie is the most just experimental art house film I've ever seen. And I don't know, Mikey picked some other dumb movies that don't matter.
I picked Time of Eve, which is about relationships between humans and androids. Metropolis, based on the silent film Metropolis, except instead of monsters, it is robots.
You know, I've seen Metropolis, and based on the silent movie is not how I describe that anime.
It's based on it loosely.
It is nothing like the silent film at all.
No, not really.
Not even close.
And I picked Boruto, the Naruto movie, which Random Battle and I would have enjoyed a lot.
I would have liked to see that movie. I haven't
There's
seen
definitely
it yet.
some stuff on that list that I'm glad I didn't pick. So one movie that I've seen on that list in it anyway. So
next week,
I would have watched Street Fighter again. That's a good movie.
wait, hang on. Before we go, I wasn't even able to mention the one thing that I liked in this movie.
oh, go for it.
So, to give somebody listening a clearer picture of some of the stuff that I have seen anime-wise, I've seen all of the series Planetes, and which I enjoyed quite a bit. I thought was excellent, and one of the reasons why I enjoy that series quite a bit is because the way that it approaches politics, and especially from the perspective of what the expansion of the space race would do economically to the planet. Like, I find that nuance to be really really interesting, and this kind of did something similar in the first part of this movie, where they were approaching a kind of, I guess, what you would call a post-revolution city-state, and what would exactly result from that kind of revolution, and how would people approach the political structure of a city like that in that kind of aftermath. And you get almost like an aristocracy coming out of that, with the all of the people that in the Team Gurren, or whatever it was called, Team Dai Gurren, I think, becoming like part of the political elite and stuff like that, and you get stupid short-term political decisions being made just to quell the populace and stuff like that. I thought that was all super interesting and well done.
You might like a little show called
Gurren
Lagann.
Maybe.
There's actually a lot of political stuff in the first, what was covered in the first movie. In the show, you get a lot of political intrigue between Viral and the Spiral King and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Which I was kind of disappointed they didn't even really touch on.
Yep.
But yeah, apart from like Planetes, I guess the only full series that I've seen would be just Cowboy Bebop and Paranoia Agent.
And if you really like political drama, I'd recommend a little show for you called Legends of the Galactic Heroes.
I would not recommend.
I wouldn't say that I like political drama so much as I like really nuanced political drama. Like,
you like very nuanced, slow-paced, crawling political drama. You might like crawling. Legends of the Galactic Heroes. Oh, that show moves at a pace, and it decides what that pace is, and it is not a quick pace.
I don't think "move" is an accurate term to use.
It moves. It moves. It's a brisk, slow.
Brisk is absolutely not the term to use.
It's a brisk, worming forwards.
It's like a glacier that's on a sprint.
It's like a turtle carrying a glacier. But I like that shit.
Cat Doder, do you like good things?
I don't think I should answer that question.
I mean, I think it'd be a pretty easy thing to answer.
Well, sometimes I like things that are terrible.
But in general,
but they're good when they're terrible.
Do you like good, terrible things?
Sometimes.
Or good things? Good, or terrible good?
I would say that
but not terrible, arable?
Far more than terrible good. I like good more than terrible good.
Then I would not recommend Legend of the Galactic Heroes.
Well, okay then.
I just want to say on record, before we end and get to the next week's episode, that I'm sorry. I regret my decision.
And before I go into to the final, telling you where you can reach us all at, new segment that will make sense when I'm doing the final where you can reach us all at. What numerical score would you give this movie out of 10?
Who, me?
Both of you. I would give it 7.
10
I
out of
would
10,
give.
They threw galaxies at each other.
I would give it a 3 out of 10.
It's cold.
I'm just being honest.
Cold. Well, don't worry.
Which gives us an average of 6.66. Which is saying
That
something.
score is gonna go way
Number
down
of the Beast.
And I'm
on the next movie.
And I'm rounding it up to 7.
I'd give it a 7. It's a good movie.
Wouldn't you technically round that down?
I'm going to round it up because we're optimistic here at Anime Kiwi.
Some of us are.
Also, the decimal's higher than 5, so technically you would round it up, I think.
Can I finish with just naming some other things that I think are good, so I don't sound super negative all the time?
I mean, you could just say nice things about something if you didn't want to sound so negative. You could try not being so negative. There's concept.
So the most recent movie that I've seen that is actually in English, and the reason I'm not mentioning the ones that were in Japanese is because that's for another thing, but I saw a movie called Room, which was like
I heard
one
about
of the
that
most...
movie.
It's probably one of the most emotionally impactful movies that I've seen in a long time. It was really good.
Reminds me of the last movie I watched.
Which was?
I watched Deadpool.
Oh.
I still haven't seen that, and I actually might go see it.
It's pretty good. I enjoyed it. It's good. Simple. I like simple movies. I'm a simple man. I like simple movies.
You know, it's probably the best movie that, I hear basically nobody talking about from, I think it was last year. That'd be Sicario, and everybody should go see it because it's fantastic.
Okay.
Is that your whole spiel about it? It's good?
Well,
Good.
I don't want to talk too much about it because the reasons that it's really good, it's kind of easy to dispel. And I don't mean that as a criticism against the film. I just think the things that make the movie work really well are best left just unsaid.
I find whenever somebody says about something, it's usually not very good.
Well, I will say one thing then, that it's really good at building tension in a really subtle way. It doesn't beat you over the head with it, and it maintains that tension throughout the entire movie.
Okay.
Deadpool has a man get punched in the nuts, but he's got metal nuts, so it makes a ding sound.
That sounds pretty funny.
That does sound pretty
good.
funny.
It's pretty good, actually.
There's not a whole lot funnier than somebody getting hit in the nuts.
Especially when it makes a ding sound.
Yeah.
And he's a metal man, so he goes
pretty sure,
like, ooh.
I'm pretty sure if you don't find somebody getting hit in the nuts funny, you are a serial killer.
What makes it even better is that it's actually a callback to an earlier shot in the movie where Deadpool punches him in the nuts. But Deadpool is punching a metal nut, so Deadpool goes, ow, like he broke his hand. So it's double funny on that level.
Is it like a boxing ring sort of ding, or is it more like a couple of pots being bashed together?
More like a couple of pots, because it's Colossus, so it's like, he's made of metal.
And his nuts are probably pretty big.
Well, yeah, that too. He's pretty big. He's a pretty big man.
But anyway, let's get wrapped up here. If you enjoyed this or one of our other things that you happen to have listened to, you can find us on youtube.com/thegamekiwi if you're not already there, I guess. And comment on this video, like this video, subscribe to our channel for more stuff. You can also find our podcasts at podcasts.thegamekiwi.net. And we have this, and we'll have more movie stuff. And I'm planning a tabletop podcast at some point soon. We're also on facebook.com/thegamekiwi. We're at twitter.com/thegamekiwi. And lastly, and least importantly, I made for Anime Kiwi, specifically a My Anime List profile. You can find us at Game Kiwi, one word, capital G, capital K. So capital GAME, capital KIWI. And
I'm not going to make my jokes because you keep editing them out.
I haven't edited most of your jokes out. Actually, yeah, these ones I have.
That's just wrong.
I kept the Yelp one last time.
Oh. So now this whole thing is really not going to work then. Because now they know what I'm talking about. Great. You ruined it twice then.
Anyways,
Let's get a little in-joke.
this has been Anime Kiwi Special 3. I'm Mike.
It's true. I've heard that many times.
You are Mike, yeah.
And that's Random Battle and Cat Doter.
What?
I
Oh,
thought he was-
I'm
I
another
thought he was
person.
I thought he was AP.
That's
He's had bad
this is-
opinions and everything.
I'm Mike. This is AP and a more different AP.
No, I have good opinions. I'm not AP.
Yeah.
I rescind it from earlier.
So, final count. I'm Mike. Random Battle.
He's just going to keep
And AP.
going for another 40 minutes.
This is Anime Kiwi. Thanks for listening. And as always,
One of these jokes is going to stick.
keep it anime.